You've probably got some turmeric in your kitchen right now, right? That golden spice that makes curries amazing. But what if I told you it's also one of the most heavily researched natural compounds on the entire planet? Yeah, thousands of studies are dedicated to it. So today, we're going to dig into the science behind this ancient spice and figure out what's really going on. All right, so here's our game plan. We'll kick things off with its ancient history, then we'll zero in on its powerhouse ingredient, curcumin. We're going to break down exactly how it fights inflammation, check out what the clinical evidence really says, and then we're going to get to the big catch. And trust me, it's something everyone needs to know before they even think about buying it. So let's rewind the clock way, way back. Long before turmeric was a trendy health supplement in your local cafe, it was a cornerstone of ancient medicine with a history that goes back thousands of years. And what a journey it's been. I mean, look at this. 4,000 years ago, it was being used in Ayurvedic medicine to boost what they called prana, or the life force. Then, fast forward a bit, and we see it in ancient texts for things like rheumatism. But the real game changer? That was 1815. That's when scientists finally put it under a microscope and isolated its main active compound, curcumin. That one moment basically bridged the gap from ancient tradition to modern science, and it kicked off the explosion of research we see today. So what's the secret ingredient? What is actually in the turmeric root that gives it these incredible properties? Let's dive into the chemistry and meet the real star of the show, curcumin. You see, turmeric's power doesn't come from just one single molecule. It actually comes from a whole family of compounds, a team, called curcuminoids. And within this family, there are three main players that do all the work. But here's the thing. It's not an equal partnership, not even close. When you look at the breakdown, the compound simply named curcumin makes up a whopping 77% of the total. The other two are just kind of along for the ride. This tells us that curcumin is the MVP, the one doing almost all of the heavy lifting. So here's the bottom line, the most important takeaway. Whenever you hear scientists or doctors talking about the amazing anti-inflammatory benefits of turmeric, what they're almost always talking about is this one primary substance, curcumin. Okay, so we know what it is. Now for the really cool part. How in the world does it actually work? Let's get down to the molecular level and see how curcumin really takes on inflammation. To get curcumin, you first have to get this guy, nuclear factor kappa B, or NF-kappa B for short. The easiest way to think about it is as the master switch for inflammation in your body. When something bad happens, you get an injury, you get an infection, it's NF-kappa B's job to run over and flip that switch on, which tells your genes to launch an all-out inflammatory attack. So here's where curcumin pulls off its magic trick. An inflammatory trigger hits a cell, and a whole chain reaction starts to release that master switch, NF-kappa B. But curcumin jumps into the middle of that process and blocks a key enzyme. By doing that, it basically keeps NF-kappa B locked in its cage. And the result? The master switch never gets flipped. The inflammatory genes never get the signal. Curcumin literally stops the fire before it can even start. And the ripple effect of this is just massive. By blocking that one single switch, curcumin stops the body from churning out a whole flood of inflammatory molecules. It even acts on the same inflammatory pathway as many common painkillers. It's this one simple action that creates a huge cascade of anti-inflammatory benefits. Now, that all sounds fantastic in a lab, but what happens when you test it on actual people with real problems? Let's take a look at the clinical evidence, and we'll focus on a super common condition, knee osteoarthritis. Okay, check this out. This table boils down a bunch of big reviews, and the results, well, they look pretty good. Compared to a sugar pill, curcumin was way better at reducing pain and improving mobility. But the really interesting part is when you compare it to NSAIDs, like ibuprofen. Curcumin worked just as well, but, and this is the kicker, with fewer side effects. That suggests it could be a much safer long-term option. Sounds amazing, right? A natural, safe alternative to pain meds. Well, hold on a second. There is a huge catch. The very same scientific papers that summarize these great results also include this critical line. The current systematic reviews on curcumins for KOA are of low quality. Uh-oh. So what on earth does that mean? Let's break it down. When scientists say evidence is low quality, it doesn't mean the findings are definitely wrong. It just means we can't be super confident in them yet. The big issues here are things like poor study design, a high risk of bias, and a lot of overlap. Basically, the same handful of studies get analyzed over and over, making the evidence look bigger than it is. Plus, there's no consistency. Different studies use different doses, different formulas. It's all over the place, which makes it really hard to draw a firm conclusion. And all of this leads us to our final and maybe most important section, what I'm calling the turmeric catch. These are the practical, real-world problems you face if you actually want to use turmeric for your health. All right, problem number one, and it is a biggie. Even if you take it, your body has a really, really hard time actually absorbing the good stuff. It's called the bioavailability problem. Here's the simple version. Curcumin hates water, and our gut is a watery place, so it doesn't dissolve well. That means very little of it gets absorbed into your bloodstream. And the tiny amount that does make it in gets attacked and broken down by your liver almost immediately. The bottom line is, you could swallow a huge dose, and most of it just passes right through you without ever doing its job. But okay, let's just say you find a special product that's designed for better absorption. Well, that leads us to the second, and frankly, more alarming problem. Do you have any idea what's really in your spice jar or supplement bottle? This is pretty disturbing. Turmeric powder is at an incredibly high risk for being messed with. To make the color look brighter, some producers add industrial dyes, sometimes even highly toxic lead chromate. To add weight in bulk, they'll mix in cheap fillers like cornstarch, or they'll just swap out the real stuff for a cheaper, less potent plant from the same family to cut costs. And this isn't some minor issue. To give you an idea of how serious this is, some tainted turmeric samples have been found with lead levels over 100 times the acceptable safety limit. That's not just a little contamination, that's straight up dangerous. So you see the problem, right? We're left with this huge disconnect, this tale of two turmerics. On one side, you have the incredible promise, a compound with powerful, well-understood anti-inflammatory abilities, a deep history as a natural remedy, and some really promising clinical data. But on the other side, you've got the harsh reality. Its benefits are hamstrung by low bioavailability, the scientific proof isn't rock solid yet, and there's a very real risk of industrial contamination. So, we're left with this fascinating but messy picture. Turmeric is a golden spice with a truly complicated story. And the final question, both for science and for us as consumers, is a tough one. Is its undeniable promise ultimately worth the very real risks and limitations?